Hello and welcome back to the channel. This video I'm going to be talking about my past cars. I put a poll up on Instagram if anyone would like to know about them, so I thought I'd just do a short video on each car, what I liked about them, what one I liked the most, just things like that. As we go along, I'll put up photos that I can find. I'll have to dig through my Facebook, through my phone and see what I've got. I'll try and find some progress photos from start and finish photos and things like that. Right, so to start with, my first car was a 1 litre Lupo. It was all I could insure at the time. I think I was paying still a couple grand at the time. It was Fresco green. I put a Lupo 3L front end on it. It was really low on coilovers. It had a sub in the, it had a 15-inch HCCA sub in the back. I had it fully repainted. I think I had Schmidt TH lines on it for a little bit. I had Zender turbos on it for a little bit. I had that from, I think I was 17 to 18 when I had that. Yeah, so I think I first got it when I was 16. I sold it when I was 18. I'll flick up what photos I got of that. Obviously that's not too interesting, but I'll still show you. My next car was my first step into drifting. I've always liked drifting, but obviously when I was 17, I couldn't insure anything rear-wheel drive, like absolutely nothing. Until I was 18. I think, again, I was paying just over 2 grand on a Volvo 340. It was either 29 or 30,000 miles from new. It was completely standard, and I think I paid £1 grand for it. This is just before they started making, like, really, well, they're not making really good money, but this is just before a lot of people started skidding them, so I just caught it before the hype. I had that 18 to 19, and that's how I first started to learn drifting. I learned how to do a donut in that. I learned how to do a small roundabout in the wet. It was literally standard, with cut springs on the front, blocks in the leaves on the back. I think I had 3-inch blocks in it, and a welded diff. It was a 1.4 because I couldn't insure the 1.7. I think I had mini lights on it at one point. I'm sure I've got some photos of it somewhere. I had some buckets in it. But it was an alright car. It taught me a bit what I needed to learn at the time, but if anyone knows about them, they've got like a rubber donut on the prop, and as soon as you clutch kick them a few times, they just snap, and I must have snapped 3 or 4 props, and they were just getting hard work to get. It was like 80 quid a prop. So yeah, that's it with a Volvo. I would have owned that until I was 19, and then I got an E30. At the time, everyone was drifting E46s, and I didn't want to be the same as everyone else, so I got an E30 estate, and this was before they were worth a lot of money. So I would have only been 19, so that's like 6-7 years ago I'd have had that. I think I paid 400 quid for it. It was really clean shell. It just had rust at the bottom of the wings, which is quite common on them. Apart from that, it was a really clean shell. It was blue. I can't remember the exact paint code of it. That started off as a 1.6 because, again, all I could insure. Still paying really good money on that. I think I was paying 2,400 quid a month on that one. At the time, my mum was paying my insurance off in a lump for me, and then I was paying her monthly, because obviously when you pay monthly it's a lot more money anyway. I should have some photos of that when I first bought it. Come with the E30 BBS on it, the 15s. I put a 2.5 out of an E30 in it for about a week, and then it was just shit. Didn't like it. Sorry, before that I put a welder in it and was doing wet skids, and it would just about go in the dry with like 80 psi in the back tyres. I'd say that's the car I probably learnt the most about drifting in. I never skidded it on track. It was always just street drifting. I should have a few clips of it as well that I'll throw up. custom 6-point cage in it. Ended up putting an E46 2.8 in it, but I left the 316 diff in it, so it used to top out at 120, but it used to be really quick. Cause I'm sure the diff was a 4.4. Used to light up really easy in third and fourth gear. Enjoyed that car. It had Gaz true coilover on the rear, because if you know about E30s, they've got a shock and a spring, but Gaz do a single shock and damping adjustable, which really transformed the car. Fully poly bushed, harnesses, cage, just your normal skid stuff. It had normal lock in it, because at the time no one was really doing E30 lock kits. Everyone was converting them to E36 5 stud, which I didn't want to do, because then I had to put an E36 compact rear end on it, and then the wheel choice and blah blah whatever. I had that until I was 19. Then I bought my first Escort. It was a Mk2 Escort 4-door in midnight blue. I got it from Eastbourne, and it's quite a good story with this one. I bought it completely standard. I was looking for months. I was looking for ages. I must have been looking for 3 or 4 months. Looked at a few, load of shit. This one come up. I think it was on Car and Classic, and it was $4.5 grand at the time. So that was like 6 years ago, and that was like top money for a 4-door then. That's when like 4-doors were starting to come up in price. Went to look at it, and it was an old fella who was in hospital. He was in hospital, and his financial advisor was sorting the car out. He thought the car was mint, and it basically just needed 2 rear arches, 2 front wings, and a front panel, I think, and a sill. So not a lot. Sounds like a lot, but if you know Escorts, that's not a lot at all. Anyway, the car actually originally comes, which is really close to my house. It had 54,000 miles on it, and the fella I bought it off had it from new. So I was the actual second owner on it. I was a second owner from new, 54,000 miles, and I molested it. So I had a Pinto in it, which I bought off eBay, which I blew up in like literally like 200 miles. Made like 160 brake, and it blew up, and that just put me off Pintos forever. I put a Z-Tech in it, and I blew a Z-Tech up. Again, just me being young, not really know what I'm doing. And I put another Z-Tech in it, which ended up going really well. I put Gaz shocks on the back, and it had blocks in it. Converted coilovers on the front. I think they were Billy converted coilovers. It had a lock kit on it. It had Smith TH Lions 14-inch wheels. I think there was 8.5 on the front, 9.5 on the back on the standard axle. It had an LSD, alley hubs, and it had fully standard interior. It had the really nice houndstooth interior. It was literally mint, apart from, I think there was one tear. It was even the driver's seat or the passenger seat, but I've never seen the interior so clean on such an old car. I put the chrome quarters on it. I kept the square red lights. I fully painted. I had that fully repainted again. That was a car I fully repainted. Put all new chrome trim on it. New exhaust. Sort of semi done a half build on it. I didn't go too far into it. Nowhere near what I'm going into now on my Mk2 now. I'd say that car, I learned a lot about fast road driving with that car. That was the first car I drove that drove shit. Like, drove really shit when I first got it. I'm sure it was a 1.1. And I remember drifting it in the wet as a 1.1 with a welder in it. Snapped the shaft a couple of times, went had a Z-Tech in it, so I went for the slipper. Yeah, really like that car. I had that for, I think it was 2 years. I had that for 2 years. And in between these, I had a few E36s as a second car, which I'm not going to go into too much detail about. But they were basically just street drift cars. I had a couple 2.8s, a couple 318s. ISs, 323, things like that, but there's not really worth mentioning them. I think that's about it for the Escort. I'll throw up what photos and videos I have of that. I learnt a lot in that car. I still learnt a lot about drifting as well. So I learnt a lot about fast road driving and a lot about drifting. Again, I never took it on track. It was only ever street driving. That's when I first started really learning about building a car. There was a lot of bodges on it. I had to redo them. So I was only 19, 20. I was learning a lot as I was going along. But I really enjoyed that car. It was a good car. After that, I moved into an E46 M3, which I know is not retro, but it's a future classic, I think anyway. Well, I don't know if they're classed as classic now because they're 20 years old. I would say that was my best car. If I had any car back, it'd be my E46 M3. It was topaz blue. I bought it and it just had BCs and standard wheels on it. I got it. I put 8-point cage in it, buckets, harnesses. I've done a few bushes on it. I had track geometry set up on it. CSL boot lid, carbon front splitter. Again, that's when I really learned about fast road driving properly with that car. That was my favourite car by far. I was 21, 22 when I had that. I think I had that for 2 years. Yeah, I think I had that for 2 years. I throw up what clips and videos I've got of that. If I was to have any car back, that is definitely what I'd have back. And then after that, I moved into a Z3M coupe. I've always liked these cars since I was young. I remember seeing one when I was young and they weren't a lot of money. I remember my dad knocking at someone's house for an Estoril blue one years and years ago and he didn't want to sell it. The one I had was silver. I put BCs on it, a couple bushes, Apex wheels. I think I had that for nearly a year, but I just didn't get on with it. It was actually a downgrade from my E46 M3. It was the E36 M3 Evo engine. I know you can get an S54 ones, but they were like a lot more money. They were making like 30, 35 grand at the time. They're probably making even more now. But I just really liked the look of them. And when I got in it and started driving it, I was really disappointed. But I think that's because I come from a heavily modified E46 M3. I just remember my E46 M3, I had big K-Sport 8 pots on it as well. I think the Z3M had Tarex 4 pots on it, or 6 pots, I can't remember. But I had good brakes on it, but I just didn't get on with it. And then, if you've watched my other videos, you know the story behind me getting my Mk2. I actually part X'd it with my dad's friend who's had it in storage for like 20 years. That's pretty much it for the history of majority of my cars. I mean, I've had a load of other cars in between. Like right now, I've got the 172 Cup. I had decent R-Bath in between. I had a load of E36s. I had another E30. but these are the ones really only worth mentioning. So if I was going to rate them from top to bottom, I've got them here on a list, I'd probably say best driving, I'm going to start at the E46 M3, then probably my 4-door, actually I'm lying, so probably my E46 M3, then my E30 Estate, then the Z3M, then the 4-door, and then obviously the Volvo, the Lupo, whatever. What would I rate from 1 to 10? The Lupo was a real cool car when I had it from 17 to 18. I really like that car. I won a couple shows with it. I don't know if anyone from the area remembers Prepped. I won Prepped a couple times in it. I won an award at Show and Glow when they first opened. I probably say that car was like a decent 8 out of 10 for a first car. The Volvo was shit. That's like 6 out of 10. Shit car. My E30 Estate, I'll probably say 8 out of 10. I learnt a lot in it. I had fun with it. I learnt a lot about cars, a lot about driving. My Mk2 Escort, probably 9 out of 10. I mean, it was a nice low mileage car. You couldn't really get any better history around it. Again, I learnt a lot in that car. My E46 M3 with 10 out of 10. I can't fault that car. It's my favourite car by far, as you've heard me say about 10 times. That is definitely my favourite car. Z3M, I'm probably going to rate that like a 7 out of 10. It had good mods in it, but I just couldn't get on with it. It just weren't a bit of me. And obviously, my Mk2 now is 10 out of 10. Yeah, that's it for my car history. I didn't want to make this too long and drag it on for too long. I only done it because I put the poll up. People seemed interested in it, and I thought it'd be worth letting people know. Keep an eye out for the Escort videos. I should have another one coming out probably next week. I've got a day off work next week to do a review on Julian's Mini. You might see him in some of my videos doing my Escort. He comes and helps me. He's got a original Mini Cooper S, and I think it's either 130 or 140 brake, so that'd be a good video. And I've got a couple other decent videos lined up. I've got a video coming up of why I bought a Clio 172 Cup, why I think it's a future classic, why I think it's a good buy, and I've just started modding it, so I'm also going to do a fast road point of view video with that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll leave the link to the website, the Facebook, and Instagram in the description. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and leaving a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.